I look so like sweaty and disgusting right now. It's so humid out. But I don't even know what I'm really trying to say here. But I was just thinking about how I grew up very low income, always struggling financially with my family, and I could deal with like how it affected my social standing, like my clothes, my ability to like go to things or like pay for like social inclusionary stuff. Like I was okay with being on the outskirts in that sense. The thing that was very hard for me and still hard for me as an adult now to accept is how it has been obvious in my living situation. I learned very quickly that people were able to see, okay, this girl is poor growing up, and I was very self-conscious of it, which I can attribute to like the town that I grew up in was very wealthy. So in contrast, like not many people had a home that looked the way that mine did unless they were in the same tax bracket. But it made me so self-conscious that I never invited people over, which obviously took a big hit in my social life. Like I could have had so many more memories that I didn't allow myself to have because I was just so self-conscious. The big thing was that I always wanted to be YouTube famous. I always like took pictures of myself. Like I always wanted to be an entertainer on the internet, and it was almost like nearly impossible because you could see in the background of every video that like I didn't have the nicest house ever, right? I was always very inspired by and jealous of the girls that I grew up with that were so like wealthy, had the nicest houses ever, had a playroom to literally like the only purpose of it was to film YouTube videos in. So that's what I felt like I was coming up against in a way. It's not even on social media, like it just literally turned into something where I probably missed out on like whole friendships and stuff just because that sort of deep rooted like self-worth and self-consciousness started with like I'm just not going to invite people over to like I'm just not going to let people know anything about my home life to like I'm just not going to talk about myself. And it became like a very embedded thing like into my adulthood. And if you don't get it, you just don't get it. Like most people won't judge you front and center, but I do think that people look at you differently once they like know where you come from or what you've been through or what your house looks like or something like that. And I don't know, maybe that's just me still being very self-conscious. But what I wanted to say is that I love seeing on social media now like Gen Z, Gen Xers, like people who are still in high school, like recognizing that dysfunction, I guess, and like being proud of it or not being ashamed of it. And I think that was what all of my feelings boiled down to, was shame in comparison to like other people. And I love seeing younger people like not even glamorized, but just like still, I don't know how to explain what I'm saying. Like it's very refreshing to see people who don't have a grazed out, newly renovated, high-rise, like middle of the city apartment still want to be influencers and show that like they're just very human and they're working with what they got and don't have this like perfect, that girl, whatever that means, aesthetic. And I would even go as far as to say is like I don't know if the last 10 years was just like a makeup beauty guru boom or like the YouTube boom or the influencer boom like has made the thing that everybody wants to attain, like this really nice apartment, this perfect lifestyle, this like very sleek and refined accessibility in their everyday life. And I would say that like being a normal person with a normal job and a normal life and a normal living situation, house, whatever, is like cooler in the sense that it provides you with so much more character. And again, like I don't even really know what my point is here, I'm just thinking out loud, because I think back to like my bedroom growing up or like my house growing up, and there was so much shame around me that I forgot or I wasn't prioritizing the gratitude of like how much character there was in the household or things that had emotional value more than like financial value. Like, I always really wanted a MacBook. That's how I knew I made it, and I was one of the girlies if I could just get myself a MacBook or just a laptop in general. And when I think back, I'm like, yeah, I was so busy worrying about not having a MacBook, but there's little things that like I couldn't have just bought somewhere. Like there's this thing that I care about so much now as an adult, and it's this taco holder that we had from Florida that was made from clay, like things like that. I don't really know what my larger point was. I guess one of them is like just to not be ashamed of being a normal person with a normal job and a normal life, because that is still like very cool and like human. You know what sparked this like conversation with me in my head is that I saw a picture of Lana Del Rey in a gas station with like 3 girls, and it just made me realize how like when you meet a celebrity or you run into a celebrity, it has this feeling of like, oh my god, they're so much cooler than me, like this is such a cool experience to meet these people. And sometimes when I see photos of celebrities with normal people, I'm like, damn, it is so cool to be a normal fucking person in like your lifeguard sweatshirt from Cape Cod, like running into somebody at the grocery store. Like, I don't know, there's a certain swag to being normal. And I think it's been overlooked the last like decade through the internet boom of like becoming somebody or getting, you know, clout or something like that. Listen, I have a much more like refined way of describing what I'm talking about, and it's going to be on my podcast, which comes out in September. But let me know if you can relate to this at all. It's not even like essentially attributed to just being low income. I think a big part of that is relevant to me, but I think I'm just talking about being a normal person, an average person, compared to like somebody with clout or social media following or a celebrity. Like, it's almost cooler to me. I don't know, maybe that's just very Pluto going into Aquarius too, because I've talked about how celebrities are literally going to feel embarrassing for being celebrities, and that they're going to, in order to get cool points and clout, like befriend normal everyday people. I'm telling you, that's the next thing. Celebrities are going to try to be cool by being normal again, which we're already seeing, like that's the relatability thing. But I talked about this too in my 2020, 2021 predictions, that I actually literally said Bella Hadid. That was my example. I was like, we're gonna see people like Bella Hadid trying to be more relatable, like they're not famous, like they're normal. We've been seeing that confirmation. But yeah, let me know if anybody knows what the fuck I'm talking about.